Not to alarm you. I changed my mind. I am now alarming you. Ring the alarm. Sound it, please. You thought last night's debate was bad? This morning, the Supreme Court said, let's make it 5,000 times worse. The ruling they just issued, which will probably get not even a lot of coverage in the press because they don't even understand the absolutely devastating long arm impact of it, okay, is so fucking insane. It is the biggest power grab that the Supreme Court has made since 1805. I'm not fucking kidding. They overturned Chevron, and all of the Federalists, fucking claim to be middle of the ground people will say, yay, small government. That's not what that is. They just dismantled the entire scheme that allows governmental agencies, literally every agency, the Food and Drug Administration, Social Security, everyone, the EPA, the Chevron case, that's the title of the case, okay? Just the title of it was issued by the Supreme Court in the 80s, okay? Through all of the other conservative Supreme Court justices, liberal Supreme Court justices, it has stayed. Why? Because it makes fucking sense. And fine, regardless of how you feel about Chevron, if you think it was bad, because it basically gives regulatory agencies, okay, that are basically tasked with enforcing the laws that Congress passes, okay? Congress writes laws that are ambiguous as fuck, okay? They don't get into the detail of shit. Why? Because they're not experts. For example, the Environmental Protection Agency, okay, has to enforce the Clean Air Act. The Clean Air Act isn't going to get down to the nitty-gritty of which gases and airs and the percentages of shit in the air is good or bad, okay? The experts have to decide that, but do it within the bounds, right, of what the law that Congress passed says. The Supreme Court today, that's just one example. Okay, I mean, the National Labor and Relations Board, employment, everything. This is going to have such far-reaching consequences in every facet of our lives. Yes, some people think, okay, yeah, like Roe v. Wade doesn't really affect me. This other thing doesn't affect me. No, like this one will be the one that affects you. It will. The Supreme Court, all of the conservative justices with every other justice dissenting says Chevron is overturned. Since the 80s, it's overturned. It's fucked. And actually, all of those regulatory agencies do not have the power to interpret what Congress wrote down to basically be within the bounds of reason. Instead of, the Food and Drug Administration deciding what food-borne illnesses are important and which aren't, we're going to have the courts basically decide that. So anytime any agency now issues a regulation, Food and Drug Administration, like a regulation like that, it's just going to be brought to the courts, and then a federal fucking judge is going to decide. Who are you? You're not an expert. You're not the FDA. How are you going to decide whether it's people are going to yell in my comments and say the dumbest shit, and I don't care. Y'all, you have to vote for the long game, okay? If you want to go short game and just go, I hate fucking both candidates, whatever, okay, fine. But what happened? Trump was able to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices, a convicted felon, a very dumb Hitler, not even a dumb one, who initiated a coup d'etat, was able to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices for a life term. And they are they decided, of course, sided with the majority here, and also sided in a case yesterday or the day before that basically said it would be much easier to take a little bribe as a public official, as a treat. You guys don't understand. The Supreme Court justices, yes, the system's unfair. This is all fucked. Complaining about it, totally get it. But that's not going to change the reality of this year. And you have to vote for the corpse if you want your rights to be okay. Justice Thomas already has alluded to the fact that Obergefell is next. Rights to privacy are next. Obergefell is the one that made gay marriage a constitutional right, legal. Like, you can't ban gay marriage. He also wants to attack Loving, which is the one that, made it a right to be able to have interracial marriage, all right? I know I'm saying this in ways that dumb it the fuck down, but the court has all the power in the world. They just took the biggest power grab of all fucking time, and I know it's fucked, and I know it shouldn't be like this, but right now it is. So think about that when you vote. I don't know what to tell you, because Trump's going to appoint more. He really is. Justice Kagan explains this in her dissent. Today, the court flips the script. It is now the courts rather than the agency that will wield the power when Congress is left an area of interpretive discretion. A rule of judicial humility gives way to a rule of judicial hubris. In recent years, this court has too often taken for itself decision-making authority Congress has assigned to agencies. Congress has. The court has substituted its own judgment on workplace health for that of the of OSHA, its own judgment on climate change for that of the EPA, and its own judgment on student loans for that of the Department of Education. But evidently that was, for this court, all too piecemeal. In one fell swoop, the majority today gets itself exclusive power over every open issue, no matter how expertise-driven or policy-laden, involving the meaning of regulatory law. As if it did not have enough on its plate, the majority turns itself into the country's administrative czar. It defends that move as one suddenly required by the nearly 80-year-old Administrative Procedure Act, but the act makes no such demand. Today's decision is not one Congress directed. It is entirely the majority's choice. As this annotation says, fuck.